Hey, what's up guys? Lockard here with another Magicka Warden build video. In this video, we will be going a DoT variant of the Magicka Warden. So let's just hop right into it. So take a look at my character sheet. Here's everything unbuffed. Looks kind of shitty, but okay. So with the Betty niche up, we got 40k max, 2200 spell. Since we're running 2 wards, we do have 1k crit resist. That's pretty much all you're gonna need. Magic recovery sitting at 1465. Stamina recoveries 600. Okay, so let's go over the gear sets real fast. I'm running 5 Necropotence. This is only on the front bar. Running 5 Lich, obviously, you know, for the 5-piece, and then we're running 2-piece Scoria. I have infuse on the big pieces and impin on the smaller pieces. Jewelry on Necropotence, running spell damage. Okay, so let's get into the specifics on the build. Okay, so on the front bar, I am running the double DoT poisons. This is to help keep your Scoria proc up, and on the back bar, I'm running the the drain health poisons. A little bit of a heal. Also does a DoT. In addition, to restore some of your max. So there's that. The first build I will be going over is for open world with champion points, and the second variant is going to be, you know, for smaller PvP and, you know, without champion points. The two builds run similarly, but not quite. Okay, so let's go over the skills real fast. Front bar. This skill is bugged right now. Growing Swarm. Unleash a swarm of blah blah blah. Infects people, and then when it ends, it infects everyone around them. You cannot double apply this to get the when the ability ends, Fetcher Flies affect 6 new targets. You have to let it run its duration, which is okay if you're getting trained in, you know, open world, and you can toss this on several people. You don't just toss this on one to make sure it hits a whole group of people. Now, as of right now, they didn't address this in the patch notes, but even though this counts as a DoT, I mean, you can, you know, clearly see it's a DoT. This does not proc Scoria as of right now, which is rather unfortunate for this build, because this is one of the most consistent DoTs on the build. Hopefully to get it fixed. As of right now in Morrowind on console, instead of the growing swarm or fetcher infection, I would slot Inner Light just for right now. This gives you the crit, which this build isn't really lacking, but the crit could be 10% higher with the Inner Light, but that's okay. Hopefully they will address this issue. I don't know how they haven't realized this isn't working yet, but I digress. Okay, so for the next skill, running Harness. This is help with your Magicka sustain. Since we're not running Witch Mothers anymore, we are running Tri-Stats. And point being, for Tri-Stats, I'll go over my back bar in just a moment. We're running Flame Touch. This is unmorphed. Obviously, you should have Flame Clinch or Flame Reach. In my opinion, you would want Flame Clinch, because when you use Deep Fissure, if you're flame reaching them further away from you, it's not really going to help all too much. You know, you're knocking them out of your fissure. Next skill, I'm using Screaming Cliff Racer. You can use Crushing Shock or Force Pulse actually in place of this. Point being, if you use, you know, Crushing Shock or Force Pulse, this increases your odds of applying your poisons, which is actually a pretty lengthy poison. You know, it's 2 dots, and look, you know, just see right there, just from that one Force Pulse, you know. Okay, but as of right now, since there are still a lot of the proc blades, I am just, you see, it's still procking in the background for whatever reason. Anyway, I'm going to use Screaming Cliff Racer just because I don't want to chase down stamina builds. It's annoying, and this is pretty much, I mean, this is the CC. It's not super reliable because it can be it can be blocked. Flame Reach as well, Flame Clinch, whatever. But these are your only forms of CC, which you need. You kind of need these for your burst. This build isn't super bursty, and I'll explain that in my champion points later. But it still puts out a lot of damage. It has a lot of burst potential. You just gotta play differently from my other Magicka builds. Okay, I'm also using Northern Storm. The other alternative you could use, you know, the other one that gives you the CC, that one's also good. This does count as a DoT. I tested it just a little while ago. Okay, so back bar. Keep in mind this is for champion point systems. Running Healing Warden, pretty typical. Instead of Bird of Prey, Bird of Prey is nice. That's probably my favorite skill in the Warden kit, but your burst doesn't come from, you know, lining up your Deep Fissure, Cliff Racer, Force Walls combo. This build is meant to put out a lot of damage, and then when you see someone low, you can, you know, do the combo, whatever, Meteor to finish them off. So I'm running Shuffle. I'll explain why I'm running Shuffle here in just a moment. I'm running the Bull Netch. This is the stamina version. It's only level 1, but that's okay. This is to help with your stamina sustain, since we're not running any passives, I mean any skills from the green tree. We're not getting this passive no longer. So the Green Betty is to compensate for this. You absolutely could run a skill from this. I would suggest Leeching Vines, because you're going to be dotting everyone up around you anyway, and this is going to apply minor lifesteal to everyone you hit. So you're constantly hitting them with dots. It means you're constantly, you know, proccing all this lifesteal effects. Anyway, the next ability I'm using is Winter's Revenge. This is a castable AoE DoT, essentially. Even though it's not ticking like a DoT, this does count as a DoT. Just give it a second, it'll proc eventually a Scoria. I mean, of course it's not while I'm doing the build video, right? You know what? Maybe someday. Maybe someday. You know what? Maybe I'm huffing. I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe this doesn't proc Scoria. There it goes. Okay. About fucking time. Anyway. Bad RNG there. Next skill, I'm running Ice Fortress. This applies, this is your, you know, your resistance buff, plus it gives you minor protection. Potentially, you could swap this out for Leeching Vines or Lotus Blossom. Lotus Blossom, obviously on your light and heavy attacks, you get health restored, and it gives you your Major Prophecy, your spell critical, or Leeching Vines. Either one's a good alternative. But for this build, I feel that you should be as tanky as possible, and when you couple Ice Fortress with Shuffle, you're a hard motherfucker to kill. Next ability is Ice Comet. You can either run this or Light's Champion. Just depends on your situation. If you can handle the pugs that are jumping you, you know, run Meteor. But sometimes you just can't do it. You know, too many proc blades, you know, what have you. So Light's Champion's super cheap still yet. They didn't address that in the patch notes either, which concerns me. So Light's Champion's also a good alternative. Okay, that about does it for these skills. I guess we'll go over champion points here in just a second. I'll try to get a poison proc here. Of course, it's not going to proc, you know, during the build video. Anyway, I just completely missed my AoE. You see, it's back in Scoria procs pretty often. Eventually, of course, during a build video, this will be, yeah. Of course, it's not going to work. I mean, typical, you know, Murphy's Law. Anyway, like I said, Fetcher Infection isn't working to proc Scoria, and that is your biggest DoT. Scoria proc's just fine without it, in my opinion. There it goes, finally. See, we can apply Facial Infection all day. This shit's not going to proc. I'll let this sit here for a few seconds. You can skip ahead like 10 or 15 seconds, because I'm just going to sit here and show you that this does not proc. It's pretty unfortunate. But, oh well, right? Okay, wait for this to expire. And hopefully I can show you that Northern Storm actually procs, even though the numbers don't pop up as dot damage, just you know, for proof of concept. And of course it doesn't. You know what? All right, we're gonna hop into champion points. Fuck this. Okay, so here's the champion point system. Got 51 points in the Warlord. We're not running a move pot. Yeah, you can hear the scory in the background procking while I'm out there, of course. We're not running move pots, so you're gonna be breaking free quite often. We can run in move pots. I mean, I'm just cheap. So, run 40 points in Arcanist, 8 points in Tenacity. None in stamina recovery because our stamina recovery is pretty low anyway. We're relying on Betty Netch to help us out with that. 51 points into Tumbling, and 51 points into Shadow Ward. You have a huge stamp pull with this. I mean, since we're running tri-stats, I mean, you can break free roll dodge pretty often. Next tree, we're running 49 to Ellie Expert. This build's, you know, like I said, more about consistent rather than burst damage, so we do have less points in the Elfborn on our other build, but we do have more points in the Spell Erosion. This will completely nullify, you know, when the patch does eventually hit, the defensive trait on people's weapons. So essentially, you know, even though they run it, you're just nullifying it anyway, just with 28 points into the champion system. You do have 51 points into Master at Arms. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the Fecture Infection double dips into these champion trees. Alright, so okay, let me explain. I think the reason it's not proc and scory is because it's still counting as a direct damage attack. So if that's the case, it is procking from Master at Arms, and it's also getting the damage over from Thaumaturge. I may be wrong. I'm sure more testing, you know, would be a good idea. I just don't want to invest the time in it. People keep calling me during the build video. That's fine. 8 in the Staff Expert. Be weaving a lot. Okay, so we have 40 points in the Ironclad. You could put more into this, but here's the reason I would not. We are running the Unchained passive. When you break free and costs your next stamina ability within 5 seconds reduced by 80%. This is why we have Shuffle. Your Shuffle costs absolutely fucking nothing to cast. It costs, I think, less than 400 to cast after you break free. That's nothing. And to get the major evasion out of it, it's awesome. That's better than just the skill from the green tree any day, in my opinion. Okay, so we're running 49, 49. You know, I don't want to go over the nearest whole number. You guys know now the system rounds down. Got some wasted points in a thick skin. That's okay. I actually misclicked on this. One of these points is supposed to be over here for the 10%. So, oh well. Run 48 points into Bastion. Run a Shuffle. I mean, Shuffle is gonna mitigate, you know, completely nullify a lot of damage anyway. You don't have to have super high shields. I mean, you could push this up to like, well, I think it was 23% with 72 points, but it's just not worth it in my opinion. Shuffle's a much greater alternative as long as you can run the Unchained passive. Yeah, so that about does it for the champion system. Now, for the alternative to this build, if you're running absolutely no CP, you would definitely take out Shuffle. You'll put on Leeching Vines or Bird of Prey. Really doesn't matter. Since this build isn't too bursty, Bird of Prey is kind of meh. It's only a 10-second buff, so I think the better alternative would be Leeching Vines. Because, you know, when you have this up, people's hitting you. When they hit you, as long as it's like, say if they stand this AoE, like you're getting lives back from everyone you're hitting with this. Okay. And plus, when they actually do fix this fucking shit stain Fetcher Infection, Growing Swarm actually apply, you know, can proc Scoria, that's going to be great as well. This can proc Leeching Vines, obviously. But like I said, as of right now, I mean, Growing Swarm is a great ability by itself. I mean, it does a lot of damage. I mean, it's 22k on tooltip. But if you want something a little bit more bursty, I would slot Inner Light instead. I think that really about does it for the build, guys. Is there anything I missed? Just let me know in the comments. Any further videos you want to see? I'm probably going to go back to my Magicka Sorcerer for a little while and play around with it. Warden's kind of ran its course for me. I will be uploading some 1vx content shortly. I'm just trying to get all the clips together and such. But that about does it for me, guys. I'll run the outro if you didn't see. Yay. Thanks, guys, and see you in the next video. Peace.